Congressman Trey Gowdy, member of the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Congressman, welcome. Good to have you here tonight.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So you heard Senator Sessions' recusal today and watched him answer the questions. What questions do you have for him remaining?
For him, probably not any, because I'm not a criminal investigator. So to the extent people are talking about false statements before Congress, I wouldn't have any. That was my old job. My new job is to provide oversight over investigations after they happen, which is why we met with Jim Comey this morning. But, you know, Attorney General Sessions incorrectly answered a question. That happens almost every day in Congress, and there aren't perjury referrals. People do make mistakes. I was struck listening to the intro, Martha, that it could not have been a campaign-related conversation if it took place on Capitol Hill. I don't know where the meeting with the Russian ambassador took place, but if it took place at the Capitol,
in his office with two of his aides.
Okay, well then you can't discuss politics, presidential or otherwise. That is yet a separate issue. So the Jeff Sessions I know has always been a rule follower. I don't think he's going to be talking about campaign-related matters on Capitol grounds. And if he said he forgot about it, he would be about the 1 millionth person who actually forgot about a fact.
But here's why I think, you know, the whole thing is raising questions. And after I watched the news conference today, some of those questions arose. You know, it's the middle of the campaign. It's September. There's already all this discussion about hacking from Russia that surfaced during the DNC in the summer. So he says that the Russian ambassador called out of the blue and said, you know, I'd like to come in and talk with you. And he said yes. So just a few short months later in January, he describes a somewhat uncomfortable conversation. And he said he brought up things about the Ukraine that, you know, seemed to make the ambassador a little uncomfortable with his take on that idea. And then in January, he doesn't remember that conversation happening. And then after that, his aides don't say to him, you know, hey, after the testimony, we did have that meeting, remember? And there's no follow-up to the committee based on that recollection?
Well, it's up to him. He's the one that gave the testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee. It's up to him to clarify it. I'm just telling you, having been there for 6 years, almost every witness gets some fact incorrect. That is not tantamount to perjury. I'm not prejudging this. The FBI is welcome to look at it. If the Senate feels that strongly about it, they can send a referral to the FBI. But simply making a factual error is not tantamount to perjury.
All right, so the investigation is ongoing. You met with the FBI director this morning. I watched Congressman Schiff come out and speak about that earlier today. He said that, you know, the FBI has only given us a fraction of what they know here. He seemed very rattled that they're not sharing enough about whether or not there was collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians. That is the main question. What's your takeaway? What are you able to share about that?
I was in the same room for the same morning, and it is exactly the opposite. I have never heard a federal law enforcement agent give with that degree of particularity and detail an update on an inquiry. And as you may recall, I was a federal prosecutor for 6 years, so I have talked to lots of FBI agents. He went so far beyond what any other administration official has ever done, whether it's Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, or his predecessor, Robert Mueller. They never gave us this level of detail and specificity. He bent over backwards, not just the DNC. Well, I want to investigate all aspects of Russia, not just Podesta's email, everything. Hacking our infrastructure, attempts to hack the RNC, whatever they did, look at it. But Congress does not run parallel criminal investigations with the FBI. We're not equipped to do it. We're not supposed to do it. Jim Comey did more today to update us than I have ever had done in the 6 years I have been there. And for Adam to treat it that way, that dismissively, clearly he and I were in two separate rooms this morning.
Very interesting. Just last question. John Brennan and Mr. Clapper both said that after the investigation, they were not able to see any evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians, that they were trying to bring down Hillary Clinton's candidacy. Is there any new information that you got from Mr. Comey on that today?
Well, if I did get new information, despite how adeptly you asked that question, I would not be able to share it given the nature of our hearing. But I will tell you this, to the extent people are relying on media reports, whether it's the New York Times or the Washington Post, upon which to base their factual assertions, I would tell them to be very, very careful. I'm not going to say any more than that, other than the person leading the investigation on behalf of the United States government, the head of the FBI, listen to what he has to say. Don't listen to anonymous sources who leak classified information, which, oh, by the way, is also against the law. Between Jim Comey and a reporter from the New York Times, give me Jim Comey.
Thank you very much, Congressman Gowdy.
Yes,
Always good to
ma'am.
see you, sir.